So, hello everybody. We're having Pedro, Linda, Peter, Hille, Chase, Sjoerd, and Rick. Hello everybody. It's so great to see you all together.
Hey, nice to see you again too, man.
So,
thank you, Andre, for having this.
yeah, so actually my suggestion is to have a conversation like if we would meet in a real event, maybe going for lunch or like having some break, so that we could talk. And my suggestion to start again the conversation with two things. So first, maybe you can share a little bit maybe what you've learned in our interview that we had, or from other interviews that you had a chance to watch, maybe something, maybe you reinforced some idea that you had already, maybe something new. So that's what I suggest to start with. And also I suggest asking somebody else here any question that comes to your mind. Again, maybe you saw some interview. If you haven't seen the interview, maybe we can just go with some questions that come to your mind. Yeah, that's my suggestion. And again, if the conversation goes somewhere, we'll just follow there. That's my suggestion. And I suggest to start with with the screen. So Pedro, maybe you could go first. Again, maybe you've learned something, or again, and maybe you have some question. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. One of the great aspects of all of these videos is that our journeys, our stories are all different. However, as when I was watching Chase and when I was watching the Broca Brothers, and when I was watching Mayo, it is truly phenomenal how we can all come together and help one another, because even though our stories are different, we all share in the same pain, the same anxiety, the same struggles. And watching these awesome videos, I mean, I learned a great deal. I had no idea what Chase was talking about with the weights, but when I watched it over and over again, I said, oh, that's it. And so we are still learning,
right,
from each other, and that's a great thing. That's what I took away.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And
Yeah, thank you very much, man.
yeah. Would you, I suggest asking again anybody any questions so that we have some conversation. So I'm kind of giving you the role a bit, like everyone is a host today a little bit. So
okay, I do have a question for Chase. Mm-hmm. When you do that technique, when you put your arms up, can you further go into detail? Because in my 20 years of speech therapy, that technique I've never heard of.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So it's just called, like, are you talking about the bow and arch bioenergetics?
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not a speech technique or anything. It's a technique that I learned to improve your state. So what I do is I put my arms back, I push my chest forward, and I breathe in through my mouth, like, and I do that for 20 sets, and then here, one sec, I'll show you right here.
And you mentioned, Chase, that that's you learned from the guy, I think, Hille and Sjoerd met with and had an interview. Elliot Hulse. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No. Yeah. So basically, I just lean back like this. I breathe in through my mouth like. I do that for 20 sets.
Yeah.
And then I lean forward with my legs straight, and I just let my head dangle and my arms dangle, and I do that. I breathe like like 20 times also, and I do that for 2 sets. And when I finish with that, it's not for speech or anything, but it just completely amps up your energy. And I did this before I even got on here. It can bring your energy from bare minimum apathy to, like, honestly, you just want to go out and talk to people just because you're so amped up in your own stuff. And that's the main reason, like, that's my philosophy behind basically why you stutter, is because all those negative emotions you have and negative thought patterns, and doing that, I honestly don't know the science behind it, but it just completely destroys it at least for like 5 to 10 minutes. And in those times, then you take action and then you start improving.
Yeah, the exercises that Elliot shows, they are really kind of, again, sound and look crazy. I once did it with my wife, and she said, what's going on with you? Yeah, when you're alone, yeah, I think that's. But again, and talking about this energy topic, I remember, Linda, with you, we also when we finished our live, you said that this is the element that you also maybe kind of think is important for us. So I wonder. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
I would like to just speak about that. Yes. So Chase, when you're doing that, or any other exercise that actually amps up your energy, from the approach I'm coming with is that energy is really important, but what it does as well is it balances many of the systems in your body. And so because speech is so complex, it's really great to look at it from outside the box, like not just speech. So when you do that, you allow your body a really big chance to kind of reconfigure, and harmonize and synthesize many aspects. And so when you feel that, and speech is actually easier then, like, it's a really great way to approach it, because it's, first of all, it's more natural, and we really want to connect with what's already natural, because you really can't argue with natural. So many people on this, on these interviews have talked about that, and there's many ways of getting to that point, and many of you have. It's so great to hear that. So yes, the energy is really important, and energy is not something that speech pathologists would talk about. I think they're sort of thinking there's something more than what they do now. I've been in really close contact with my licensing college, and what I'm doing is very different, and they're asking a lot of questions, and their jury's still out. But I think that they see that there's something more that can be done, and I'm just ready to go for that, because I think there is, and I think it can be very successful, as many of you have proven in many ways.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
And if you don't mind, can I ask Peter, you as well, because to me it sounds, again, maybe in line with what you say, because even though expressiveness and assertiveness is something in our mind, still, like, doing such exercises, what do you think?
Yes, Andre, I absolutely agree. It's all about expressiveness. When we make large movements such as this, that is all part of being expressive. It's about showing yourself. It's about opening yourself to the world. And that is the big secret, in my opinion, and from a mind-body angle. And there is some science behind it. It's not formal science. It's still, as Linda said, in this case too, the jury is still out about it. But there is a theory that psychological repression is behind mind-body issues. And the opposite of psychological repression is expression. So if you do this opposite, if you express, if you yes, and maybe I should add that repression is closely associated with inhibition. So if we are more uninhibited, if we go out, it's an outward movement, not an inward movement. So if we go out, move outward, move expressive, and that includes things such as acting. You know, if we act, we are expressive. We show ourselves. So for me, it all falls in place. It was a big puzzle, but now as far as I see it, so that's how I would explain the success of that type of movement.
Yeah. And maybe Hille and Sjoerd, can I ask you? Sorry, I haven't watched the whole interview, but did you learn anything from Elliot in terms of that kind of stuff, or like what was your impression?
Sorry, who?
I was maybe Hille and Sjoerd. Yeah, you had the interview with Elliot. So what did you like? Did you learn from that?
I would like to start, Sjoerd, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I want to say that this is amazing that we're getting together here. I'm getting very enthusiastic hearing you guys talking about the stuff you're doing right now. I've seen the interviews as well, and it's amazing. It's very inspirational, very inspiring, and I think this is true for every person on this planet who has these problems that we face with stuttering, blocking, social anxiety, and all the things that are intertwined with stuttering. It's amazing that what we're doing here. I have the goosebumps I have right now talking with you guys, talking about body-mind, talking about energy, talking about a process which we're all in all the time for the rest of our lives. So what we're doing here is just discussing. It's amazing. So again, I have no other words for it. To get in on the question you asked, Andre, about what we have learned from Elliot Hulse about energy, about body and mind and movement and expression, and I truly agree with everybody, what everybody's saying right here, and it all intertwines with each other. It's all the same thing that we're discussing here, because everything is energy. Thoughts are energy, emotions are energy in motion, which is motion, energy in motion. What we're doing with our body, breathing, walking, standing, sitting, it's all energized. We're doing something, and it has always to do with energy. Speaking is expression, is energy going outwards. When we're having, for example, having a meditation, it's energy going inward, because we're closing our eyes, and energy goes within. So it's expression and impression, which are both particularly very important to me, and I think to L.A. Halls as well. And what we've learned, or what I learned from L.A. Halls, because I've been watching his video since 2013, I guess, because he motivated me much to open myself up and to start, like, you know, chasing my dream, so to say. But what I've learned from is that the body is also the mind. So we have the mind-body problem, but the body is also the mind. So if we have problems in the mind, it's also in the body, you see? So if we start breathing in and out, and we open up, we feel ourselves opening up in the body, but also in our minds. So this helps to express ourselves more fully. Opening up is, like Peter also stated, is probably the thing that this is all about. It's about opening yourself up towards other people. For example, when you have a conversation with people, you can always open up to them about your so-called problems. Like, hey, I feel a block, so be patient with me because I have this and this and that. So I feel a little bit anxious. You can open up about those things, opening up with the body. So you hold eye contact, is opening up. You express yourself a bit more with your pronunciation, which is also opening up. You open yourself up with your chest. You open yourself up with your heart, yes? This is the area of your heart. You can also open yourself up in the throat. You know, you do that with the breathing. When you lean back like this and you open this whole place up, you're opening your mouth, your throat, your chest, your belly, your pelvic floor. And through that, expression comes up, outward, expressive. But first, if you want to be expressive, I guess, you will have to open yourself up and through the body. It happens in the body first. So that's what I have learned, and that's what I also believe from my own experience becoming a fluent speaker.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Again, that's my experience as well. Linda, it seems like maybe you want to say something, or let me know if you.
Okay. I just want to agree with Hille. That's very good. The mind and body are one, and when we understand that, then we can influence how communication in this case is. It can change.
Yeah, and again, I personally, I'm very bad at this, you know, energy thing. But what I feel is that the energy level that I have affects speaking huge, like a ton. Not only the technical speaking, but the avoidance, the fear, like how I feel about speaking, and the physical state, like the physical exercises. Even though they're addressing kind of the body, still addressing, again, the energy level and the mind eventually, probably. Yeah.
And I also want to agree with Hille. Like, that was beautifully said. Like, that I agree with that so much. And it's also crazy too, because I once combined the bow and arch bioenergetics with comfort zone challenge. So I was at the gym one time and I felt very inward. I felt like very self-conscious at the gym. So I went into the bathroom and I started doing that and looking like a crazy person, like looking myself in the mirror, and people were walking into the bathroom, and then you see some random guy breathing like that. But as soon as I left that bathroom, I promise you, I started lifting heavier weights and I started talking to people in the gym. But it's insane how, like, I started lifting heavier weights. It's not just like the body and the mind is just, it's just insanely crazy how it's connected like that.
Yeah. So that's a great topic. Sorry for going into maybe too detail on that, but still, that's a great topic, I think. So if you don't mind, Linda, can I ask you next, maybe sharing something, what you've learned, and maybe asking somebody, just anything, anybody. That's
okay. Thank you. Okay, so I have learned so much from everyone here. It's just been delightful. This kind of information will not be found in textbooks and often not from lectures, just kind of the regular university type lectures. So I'm really appreciative of everybody sharing what they've done, and that is just so great. The question I have is, when you feel like you're really quite fluent, what percent of that time would you actually think about stuttering? Does stuttering kind of linger in the background? Is it there all of the time? Does it actually go away at times? And maybe what situations actually trigger that? Yeah, and anybody who'd like to answer would be fine.
Okay, I'll go for a second. So when I'm completely fluent, unless I'm talking about stuttering, I'm not thinking about stuttering like at all. And back when I used to stutter a lot, and I would look up videos on how to overcome stuttering, and I do that many times throughout the day, it would keep refreshing my mind, like stuttering and techniques to overcome stuttering. When I'm talking to someone, I think about that stuttering video, and those times where I looked up how to overcome stuttering were my worst moments, because it was always in my mind, always replaying, trying to remember that video that said how to overcome stuttering. So yeah, that's just what I find. The more I think about stuttering, the more I stutter. But when I'm completely fluent, it's not even in, like, it might be like deep down in my subconscious somewhere that I can't see, but I find I don't think about it at all.
Okay, so you're really connected to the natural speech production that people who are fluent have, and people that are fluent don't think about speaking. They just speak. They don't worry about, if I stutter or repeat, and you'll hear some of that here. It's just like I just go on and continue. But so getting to that stage where you can actually hook into that natural speech production system that everybody has, then it's easy. Your mind is open to think of all the things that you want to talk about, and that is kind of the goal, just to be open and do everything that you want to do and say whatever you want to do. Chase, I have one more question for you. Do you find that the work that you do actually is starting to accumulate, and that you can sort of feel what that's like in your body when you have that energy and that freedom? Because that is really good, as well as a practice where it starts to build, and you eventually, sort of lose some of the things that maybe were holding you back before.
Oh, for sure. Like when I first started doing the bar and arch, and I first started trying to overcome my stutter, I would do the bar and arch, and I would talk to people, and I'd have good days for like maybe a week, and then I would go back to having a bad stuttering episode for like 2 weeks. But over time, the more I practiced what I was doing, the shorter amount of time my bad days got. So instead of going from 2 weeks, then it went down. Next time I had a bad stuttering episode, it lasts a week and a half, and then a week, and then a few days. And right now it's like, if I'm stuttering badly, it'll be maybe tops 1 day. And when I'm stuttering badly, that's when I recognize, after the process and all the self-awareness I've gotten, that in these moments I need to leave my comfort zone a lot more than if I weren't stuttering badly. I like right now, since I'm stuttering badly, I need to do something that I'm so uncomfortable with, that just pushing me way outside my comfort zone. So when I wake up tomorrow, that's when I become fluent again, is when I'm in the bad stuttering spot and I completely leave my comfort zone. Like just I was in Calgary last week, and I had bad speech days. So I walked up to the front of the Calgary Stampede where like hundreds of people were, and I held this free hug sign for about like 8 minutes. And it was so scary. Like this, one of the scariest things I've ever done. But after that, it felt like I was on cloud 9, like, and I didn't stutter for days, and like not even like a little stuff. Like I was scared myself crazy, crazy. And just after that, after all that heightened anxiety and stuff, now when I talk to one person, talk to 2 people, it nowhere near compares the anxiety level I get there. So that's, yeah, if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Think.
Yeah.
And actually coming back
with sort of feeling like, sorry, go.
Sorry, Linda. Yeah. Yeah, please. So coming back to your first question, actually, sorry, about when we're fluent, do we think about stuttering? I think, again, that's what we talked with Hille and Sjoerd about, this personality, like stuttering personality we all feel somewhere. And let's be honest, I'll be honest first, because even though we're working, or again, we can call it whatever, but I can tell myself that I'm fluent, I'm okay, like whatever, anything is fine with me, no matter about the level of severity. But still, I can confess first that yes, even though we're fluent, but again, I'm talking about myself, but this stuttering personality still lives there. So it's,
yeah, I would like to get into that too.
Yeah.
Because the question was, when you're 100% fluent, and when you're 100% fluent, you don't think about stuttering. It goes.
Yeah.
It flows.
Yeah.
When you're fully fluent, just this is the question. When you start thinking about it, then you probably aren't 100% fluent anymore, because then you have the problem of the mind-body problem. You start thinking about stuttering, you start thinking about, oh shit, here we go, this is a difficult word, etc. And then, yes, the body will tight up, and then your throat will choke, you will start choking, or what else will happen, because this is for every person is it's another process, it's a personal thing. So, but when you're 100% fluent, you don't think about, and we talked about this in our interview, yes, and we believe that we all are already fluent speakers, because when we're speaking fluent 100%, we don't think about it. It just flows. All the pieces of the puzzle will fall together. Is where we think, oh shit, what's happening to me? Or we think, oh, I wish I could speak always like that. And the truth is, we can, but we don't have to. You know, I don't want to put any pressure on someone.
Right.
We can speak always 100% fluent, I guess, but we don't have to. Again, this is maybe a difficult topic, but we can, because we have it in us.
Right.
If we get our mind out of the way, and then our body will relax too. And you know, we do the exercises, we do breathing exercises, we do the bioenergetic exercises, we can do stuff like that. We can do other stuff like speaking exercises, obviously. There are many things we can do. It's a path, it's a very personal path too, but we have it. We have it.
Right.
So
yeah, I got your point. Yeah, Hille. Yeah.
So when you're 100% fluent,
that's a different.
You don't think about it. That's the short answer.
Agree.
To a long story.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And Peter, can we ask you again to share something and to ask something, maybe somebody or maybe everybody.
Yeah. Right. Actually, I had a few questions, but in the course of this conversation, they have already been answered. I wanted to ask Linda about the mind-body link, because I think she, in her conversation, in her interview, she mentioned also that in certain circumstances, the problems in your mind can be converted into problems of the body. And I wanted to ask her, but I think she has already mentioned that. But yes, maybe I should ask this again. Do you feel that that some psychological issues can, in certain circumstances, be converted into a bodily problem? And then my second question also is it, do you think, is it perhaps possible that stuttering could be one of those disorders that actually arise from a psychological issue, such as the repression of rage, of anger? Could that actually be converted into something like a speech disorder?
Yeah, so for your first question, Peter, yes, I believe that things in the mind, whatever your thoughts are, can be converted into energy, and even quite clear when we talk about emotions. So so if you have an emotion, emotions tend to reside in particular places of the body. For example, worry often happens in the stomach, and so you'll see people with stomach ulcers. We have tension. We have tension in different parts of our body, lots of times in the back of the shoulders. So that all those energies are really, they cover the whole body and mind, and they're all one. So we can't separate the mind from the body. And that's why when you look at something complex, actually anything that's complex, it's really great to look at it as the whole, to look at all of like what's happening as a whole. So yes, I believe. Now, speech pathologists are not psychologists, and I've really thought a lot about this and how it affects me. But when we talk about stuttering, we really can't leave the psychological part out of it. We have to look at it in a lot of depth. So for me, the way I address it is from the emotional context and looking at where those energies are, and looking and actually resolving those energies, resolving the worry and the stress and the fear, because those are really holding people back from speaking fluently. So that's done in a very an energetic method that I've been working with for several years. In answer to your second question, the psychological part is really strong, where if somebody has a trauma or some kind of accident, that can trigger disfluent speech. And I think we've seen that where people become disfluent after an accident or after, something that's been really traumatic. I even think that if you look back at children that start to stutter, that there actually may be some trauma there inadvertently by parents, just saying something that just sticks with the child, maybe not in the words so much, but certainly how it feels. And that might actually lead to, stuttering continuing. So yes, I think it very much is a big part. So your work is really great because you bring much more of the psychological aspect to it than I do, but I'm certainly, I agree with it, and I think it's a really great way to approach this. Stuttering's complex. You'll have to really address it from many different angles, and then you get to the center where it's like, yes, I have it. I know I can do it. We'll just get rid of all these things that don't that interfere with it, and then we'll be able to have easier speech. Not 100%, because 100% fluent speech is really not a goal. It's just to be speaking easily and express what you want.
Yeah,
Amazing.
It's not easy.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
And that's interesting about trauma, because as Peter says, many people who stutter, we can't address ourselves or describe as people who are highly sensitive. Like for some people, something might go fine, not as a trauma, but for some people it becomes trauma. That's what I want to add, because I feel that I had trauma, but maybe some other person didn't feel that way. I really don't know. Yeah, but probably that's maybe just a question to everyone, just yes or no. Do you think you had some trauma? I actually think I did.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Trauma.
Yeah, but that's part of the release. I mean, that emotion and kind of letting it go as well, to kind of acknowledge, yes, I had it, because sometimes we cannot. It's hard to admit, to address, and kind of really get it into the light, like keep all the time in the closet, not admitting that, yes, I have.
Yeah, I would love to add a little bit to that.
Yeah.
First of all, amazing, Linda.
Thank you.
And the thing we're doing here, we're broadcasting right now the solution to stuttering. I hope you all understand this.
We're recording. We're
gonna broadcast out the solution to stuttering. It's a complex thing, obviously, but the things that we're talking, they all are connected in amazing.
Yeah.
And then trauma. Trauma is a big word, yes? People think, oh, trauma, this. It has to be a big thing, but it's not. Small things can happen always.
Right.
You know, it can be a small thing like, hey, don't do that. Don't be like that. Stop this, because otherwise, you know, I don't want you anymore in my neighborhood. And then you're just a small, you know, it happens often. No, I'm not going to talk about this, but it can be very, very small things, just trauma. It's a very broad word for a lot of things that can happen to you, and we all have some kind of trauma.
Yeah. So to continue, Hille, I think it's your turn to share something and maybe ask, if you don't mind.
My turn.
Yeah. We're just going over the screen, if you don't mind.
I would love to hear Sjoerd, so I'm putting my turn towards Sjoerd.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm honored, Hille. So I think the biggest thing that I learned is that, or not necessarily I learned, but I think more like things that I heard reinforced that the thing that I already knew. And to me, it just becomes more clear and clear that stuttering really is not that complicated or complex, actually. It's actually pretty simple. And I think there's just a few concepts that we've already talked about in this session as well. And there's really just a few things that you have to understand, and then the solution to stuttering will simply follow from that. And I think some of the big things that are some of the big things that explain stuttering are, for example, the trauma that we talked about. And I believe that 99% of the people on this planet have some kind of trauma. And what follows from that trauma is a mind-body disorder, right? And in our case, the mind-body disorder is stuttering. But I think different mind-body disorders are, for example, addictions or depression or phobias, right? To me, that's all the same thing. It all comes from trauma, but it all develops, or it all has a different symptom. And in our case, the symptom is stuttering. But because of that, the root cause is all the same. It's the trauma, as Peter calls it. It's the emotional or psychological repression, because that's, I think, what's happening. That is really the root cause of all this. And then you can talk about thoughts and feelings and what you have to do physical and like the physical intention and all that. But to me, the root cause is actually very simple, and that also makes the solution very simple. And I've also watched some interviews, and I think Linda also talked about is when emotions do come up and stuff like that. The only thing you really have to do is just put your awareness on it, and it will simply dissolve with it. And I think that's very true. I think really stuttering and also the solution isn't that very simple. But of course, when you are, when you're new to it, when you're new to it and you're just there living your life without really knowing stuff about stuttering, then of course it can seem very complex because sometimes you stutter, sometimes you don't, and then there's all this stuff going on. But actually, when you take a bit of a more overarching, more like from a higher perspective, when you look at certain things, it all really comes down to a couple of things, and that's really what reinforced in me the belief that stuttering is pretty simple, and that that makes the solution to it also very clear.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Thank you. And maybe you ask anybody anything, if you don't mind, just anything that's, or maybe just question to everybody. If
I don't have a question yet. No.
Okay. So let's move on. If you don't mind, maybe we can ask Rick. Rick, can you share maybe what you maybe learned, and I would suggest to ask anybody anything if you don't mind.
Okay. For me, I would consider myself a newbie because I don't know all the ins and outs of stuttering. When I was listening to Chase, he had mentioned when you're focusing more on your stutter, you stutter more.
Right.
And for me, that's where for many years, I would be fearful to speak to other people because I didn't want to show them that I stuttered. It went through school and through my life. There would be times when looking back that I had thought, okay, I'm more fluent now because when I do talk, I'm more fluent. But when I was looking back at it, it was because I was talking less to people or talking only when I needed to. Ask a question or something. And that's when I was feeling, okay, I'm more fluent now. But it was because I wasn't talking as much. And two, I had went through school, and that's when you are in the therapy groups and stuff. But ever since high school, I haven't been in a speech therapy setting. And I have really not researched on how to stop stuttering or cure it or stuff like that. And two, until last year, I wasn't able to say I met a person who actually stuttered until last year because I wasn't really coming in contact with people who stuttered. So I was like, okay, is it me or is there anyone else kind of thing? Um, but since last year, I've been trying to, let's say, put myself out there more, not forcibly, but more than what I was before. As far as just simple things, going through the drive-through has always been a train wreck at times, because you might say what you're wanting the first time fluently, but then you hear over the speaker, "Can you repeat that? I couldn't understand it."
Right.
And then once you have to repeat it, your fluency is out the window. But I've been trying to do that more so, or asking questions of certain people when I want to know something more. I will try to engage with them more than I was before. And now I'm in the process of trying to stretch and build my comfort zone further by trying to get into the public speaking events where I might speak for a few minutes to 20 minutes or so about stuttering awareness, to help people who don't know much about it be more familiar with all the struggles that people who stutter have or might have.
Wow. That's beautiful. And this is actually also the occasion. Like, yeah, we're speaking, and we're talking about stuttering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you ask anybody anything, or like maybe a question to everybody, or maybe you don't have anything, just a question?
Actually, I've been thinking about something for a while, and it's kind of hard to ask people who don't stutter the question, because you'll get a totally different answer. But I thought about, ever since I was in elementary school, we had telephones, and communication was always done through the telephone. But nowadays, we have smartphones that you can call or text people. Has that made it easier or hinder the people who stutter to text somebody or ask somebody, text me rather than call me?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Yeah. I feel like definitely having an easier way to communicate through text and things like that will make people who are scared to stutter hide a lot easier. And on the other hand, when you call someone nowadays, it's a lot, since you have the option to text anyway and you call, that will just push you more out of your comfort zone now. So I think if you're scared to stutter and scared to show that you stutter, then if you ask someone to text you or anything like that, you'll just hide yourself more. But if you see that calling or leaving your comfort zone is the way to overcome your stutter, I also believe doing it nowadays can help you overcome your stutter a lot more too.
And honestly, it's it's such a relief. You don't have to call, just texting and that's it. But yeah, at the same time, on one hand, it's a relief, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, and on the other hand, it became harder on you because it made it easier to hide.
Right.
But in your heart, there's you who wants to express him or herself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, at a point, it will become too hard on you, and you will have to go out. But it's that.
Yeah. Actually, Pedro, what would you say about phones and text? How do you deal with that?
Okay, texting is my best friend because I don't really have to, vocalize anything. I can just text and order a pizza. I can text and, purchase a movie ticket. I don't have to talk to anybody. But on the other hand, with all this new voice technology, with Google Home and with Siri and with your vehicles being voice activated, I struggle with that. But like what Chase was talking about, just push yourself and just do it, because as you keep on doing it and are successful, that's a daily win. And with every daily win, I get a little better. And with the building of that momentum, I'm unstoppable.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Wow. Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yes, I have a question because I heard a lot about pushing out of your comfort zone, pushing to do things, pushing to get into a flow state, pushing to get momentum. But what about to me, a fact is that when we are in the moment, when we are in the present moment, we don't think about past or future. We don't think about stuttering. We're 100% fluent. So my question is, why the push?
Yeah. I'll chime in here. I find that a lot of the time, at least when I was trying to overcome my stutter, I definitely wasn't in the present moment, and I definitely was so in my head, so introverted, and I didn't want to I'm sure everyone can relate to the thoughts that go in your brain when you're about to stutter and you're not in the moment and that's all you think about. But for like the bow and arch bioenergetics, I find that is what grounded me. That is what allowed me to get out of my head. That's what allowed those negative thoughts to dissipate. That's what allowed me to be in my body. And then when I was in my body, I was in the present moment and I was able to communicate clearer that way and just building those steps, not necessarily I guess it's pushing something, but it's pushing to be more grounded. It's not forcing anything. I guess it's just allowing yourself to be grounded and taking action when you're grounded versus taking action when you're in your head and doing that. That's what I found.
Right. Because when I was growing up, I heard my entire life, I will never be able to get a job. I will never be able to have a relationship. I will never be able to do the things that other people do that don't stutter. And when we're in our bubble, our comfort zone, we feel safe. But I wanted to be like other people. I wanted to just go out there and do what they have been doing their entire lives, because I was told I cannot do that. They labeled me as having mental retardation, and they told me that I should just stay home, apply for disability, and just live my life in my home all day long, 24 hours a day. And so I knew that there was so much more that I can do, but I was scared until when I turned 40 years old. I said, I'm done. I'm tired mentally, physically, emotionally. I'm tired. I am done. And when I embraced my stutter and said, I don't care anymore. I don't care if I stutter. I don't care if other people are mocking me. I just don't care. And when I did that, I was able to push myself and do things that I thought I could never do in my life. And when I did that, like speaking on stage in front of 100 people, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be able to do that. But when I turned 40, I said, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm tired. I want to just, live my life and just be happy. And when I did that, I could do things that I thought I could never do because I was pushing myself. Go do this, which I knew I was going to stutter. I knew it. But when I did it, I felt a win. And so I kept on doing it every single day. And that's when I had the courage to have a YouTube channel, the courage to have a podcast. Now, I just don't care. I'm Pedro, I stutter, life goes on.
Yeah, amazing.
Can I add just one thing? I think there are two kinds of pushing. So one that maybe you mean a bit, Hille, is like the physical pushing in our stuttering, like the physical stuff, we're trying to push something and there is tension, and that's one thing. But another pushing is like Mel Robbins says, when you have a challenge and it's something challenging and our body is wired so that, as she says, we'll never feel like it because it's not comfortable. And the only way, again, she says that, and probably that's true, the only way to actually go and do it is to take yourself and push a little bit, because otherwise we are naturally so much inclined, to something which is more comfortable. So, and we never feel like doing like challenging stuff. So I think that's the pushing that Pedro says. That's how I hear it. I understand it. Yeah.
Can I also say?
Sure, Peter.
I think there's one thing we have not yet talked about, and that's the actual physical stuttering. Maybe we should just make one point, and that is, I fully agree that it all starts in the mind. It's probably a psychological repression, which causes energy and tension, energy, and that eventually goes to sit on your vocal cords. So the vocal cords, seems they lock down, they freeze, they go into a freeze mode, and apparently those frozen cords, that causes all these physical repetitions and prolongations and things. So if you keep your vocal tract open, your lips a bit open, and speak on airflow, that should prevent much of this blocking and freezing. So as far as I'm concerned, it's a mental thing. We can try to, or we should change our minds, but also we can also work from downwards up, and that is just speaking a bit slower sometimes, and because slow speech also reduces the tension on the vocal cords, and keeping open the vocal tract, and speaking like this, keeping your lips open and slowing the first syllables. That actually helped me immensely. For the first 30 years of my fluent life, or relatively fluent life, I used that to become much more fluent. And now that I've been working on the mind-body thing, that helps me even more. But we shouldn't neglect the physical side of stuttering, because it should be a mind thing, but also a body thing. That's just what I wanted to say here.
100% agreed. Is that if we have, you see, if we have a flower who wants to blossom, who wants to go up towards the sun, but first it has to go down into the earth. And this is also true for if we want to express. Expressiveness happens obviously in the whole body, but here, this place, if we want to be up here, we first have to go down. We have to, for example, breathe out and drop our shoulders.
Yeah, shoulders is great.
Stuff like that. Open up the throat, we could do that also. So the body first, the physical things first. If we want to go up, if you want to blossom, if you want to go into the skies towards the sun and pretend you're a god or goddess, you first have to root yourself deep down into the gates of hell. I'm just kidding, but deeply rooted into the ground. That's the first thing, and then you go up because of it.
Yeah, I think that's what we started with Pedro's question to Chase about the exercises, and I really think that this area about the physical things, what we can do, is huge. And again, each of us like take in our life some like therapies or courses or programs, trying different things. And so I really maybe don't want to go into that topic because it's again endless, but I think the conclusion is that both areas are important. It's like a circle. It's hard to say like where is the top, where is the bottom. It just turns and it goes. Yeah, so both.
It's all one thing. It's all one thing. You're a human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a human. You have a body, you have a mind, you have energy in you, surrounding you. It's all one thing. Yeah. So if you want to be fluent, you have to approach it as one thing.
Yeah. And actually, that's a great conclusion, if you don't mind, because I think we're all different, but it's so amazing that we got together and turned into one thing. So thank you so much for participating, for joining. That's so amazing to see you all, to like have you all in person and connect in like all together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, may I jump in? Want to say I am extremely grateful for all of you, because all of you have such amazing stories, and they all help me, because we are still learning every day, and what I have learned from each of you is just truly amazing, truly phenomenal. So I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you.
I have the same thing. Thank you, like all of you. I watched most of your guys' interviews, and it was just so awesome to watch. And I also just want to say, with the Broca Brothers, I love your idea. I don't think we really talked about it here, but I love your idea of thinking that we're already fluent, because as I remember this story, I was walking in my university and I was looking at all these people and I felt inferior to them, not just speech wise, but I always placed them up here and myself down here. Like, just because my speech was bad, now I was seeing their styles better. Now I'm seeing the way they walk looks better. Now I'm seeing like their hair looks better. And going from that state, trying to talk up to them made my stutter a lot worse. And with your guys' not theory, but your guys' thing, that assume like you are all like, because you are already fluent. You're already fluent. That's the self kind of love kind of thing. Like, assume you're already awesome. Assume like you're already, you guys are at least like this. Maybe you're up here, but like at least like this. You guys are both fluent, and I feel like that's so powerful.
All right, your Chase, your hair is amazing. And you don't have to assume anything, because it already is. Why assume? Then your mind is gonna play tricks on you. Then you get the mind-body disorder again. It already is. There's nothing to assume. And so I want to also say thank you so much, everybody. And for me too, this is very inspirational and very just a great thing to be doing here, and to be broadcasting or putting out in just a couple of days something that a lot of people who study will thoroughly enjoy if they have their ears open anyway. And so we're all on our own paths. It's very individual. We're all doing our thing, you know, and the courage that I think Pedro talked about just a couple of minutes back, is that the thing we all have in common, is that the courage to take action, to step up, to understand, to have the feeling that I have to go out, I have to do something about this, because the way I am right now, this is not satisfying. I have expressiveness in me, and I would really like to get it out, you know? And therefore, I think the most important thing, if you want to change anything in your life, it takes courage. It means that it comes from the heart, yes? You come from the heart. You start speaking from the heart. You start acting from the heart, from which is the real you, your true self. And so it's amazing that you all are doing this, and we all here, but you guys are all being inspirational for the millions of people who stutter all over the globe.
Okay.
So things are going to change. Things are going to change, definitely.
So when you mentioned Chase's hair, I felt inferior. Then I put myself back. You're so amazing. So yeah. So thank you so much. I think that's a great conclusion. I really don't want to take much of your time. Thank you for sharing your beautiful ideas, and hope we stay in touch. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.